Hey, yo, what is up, everybody? This is Coach Chad, the CEO of the Next Level Coaching Academy. If you guys are watching this, I'm also sending this podcast to my team. So team, if you're watching this, just know I'm going to be speaking to the podcast, but I also thought that this video would be equally as important for you as it is also important for the individuals that follow the podcast to listen to this as well. So we're going to hit the ground running here. Actually, funny story. So I'm home with my parents right now. I go back to Austin, Texas tomorrow. We don't have a huge house in my home, and we have a very full house right now with, individuals coming in and out for the holidays. So you guys will get a good crack at this, but I'm actually filming this video in the bathroom in my parents' basement because it's the only place where I could be focused and dedicated on delivering this message and not have a lot of distractions. So right now I'm literally sitting on a toilet. Yes, the toilet cover is down, but I'm sitting on a toilet and I'm using that as my seat to record this podcast. Thought you guys would get a good crack out of that, but hey, you do what you got to do to get the job done, right? All right. That will lead perfectly into what we're going to be talking about today. And what we're going to be talking about today is discipline, which I personally believe is the greatest necessary attribute for success. And I was asking myself that question this morning: what is the success formula? What are the things that are required to be successful? And I wrote down three things. Success is skill acquirement first. If you are going to be successful at anything, improving your relationship, growing a business, being a successful staff member within an organization, that learning any new skill like playing a guitar or picking up a hobby or learning a new language, if you're going to be successful at any endeavor, it is going to require massive amounts of discipline and you learning and acquiring new skills. Using business as an example, in mostly anything that you are trying to become very successful at, there are multiple skills within the overall skill. So if I'm trying to learn the skill of business, I equally also have to learn marketing, client delivery, sales, leadership, management, hiring, firing. I have to learn it all. I have to learn the whole gamut. If you're trying to learn how to play guitar, you got to learn how to play chords. You got to learn how to play riffs. You got to learn how to play songs. You got to learn all the aspects of playing guitar, not just the one thing. So if you are going to be successful, first and foremost, it will require you to stack and learn new skills. Now, in order to learn new skills, there are two additional character traits that you need to develop. Character trait number one is patience, right? Because as you know, I'm sure there are things that you've gotten very successful at. You probably had to use a lot of patience in order to learn that skill and see it all the way through, because you're going to fail time and time again. Now, in addition to patience, you are also going to have to be extremely disciplined. You are going to have to get up and try again. You are going to have to be extremely detail focused. You are going to have to focus on learning the new skill. So the success formula that I wrote down is discipline plus patience plus skill acquirement equals success. Now, out of that whole entire equation, out of that whole entire discipline, patience, and skill acquirement, I personally believe that discipline is the greatest part of that equation. And if you remove discipline from the equation, I believe the equation falls apart. And that is why we're going to be talking about discipline today. All right, so the best way to view discipline, or at least how I view discipline is a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. All right. And if you continue to use it, it grows. We've all had stints in our life where we are extremely disciplined and we are continuing to build momentum. And the things that we are getting disciplined at become much easier because we are building momentum with those things. We've also equally have had times that we have fallen off. And then the things that once were easy for us to be disciplined at now become much harder. The reason they become much harder is because we've stopped working that muscle. I'm going to bring this into a fitness context to bring it full circle. If you are strength training for a period of time and you are getting stronger and you are building momentum in the gym, let's say 225 becomes a lot easier on bench. But let's say for whatever reason you fall off and you start losing momentum and you come back in and you go to push 225, it becomes incrementally harder to push 225 because you have stopped working that particular muscle. Discipline works the same exact way. If you want to be disciplined, and if you want discipline to feel easy, you need to do the hard thing and be disciplined every single day. Discipline becomes hard when we ourselves stop being disciplined. It's that easy. It's that matter of fact. Another way to look at it, and this is the way that Andy Frisella looks at it, and I love it, is every single day you are making disciplined deposits or withdrawals. And you are faced every single day, multiple times a day, with opportunities to make deposits or withdrawals into your discipline bucket. Now, this is something that I thought of in addition to the way that Andy views this, which is discipline deposits and withdrawals. I personally believe that no task is mutually exclusive or worth more than the other. And here's what I mean. So as you're going throughout your 24-hour day, you are faced with many different opportunities, like I said, to make a disciplined withdrawal, which would mean you choose not to do the thing, or a disciplined deposit, which means you choose to do the thing. I'll give you some examples. All right, you walk into your room, you see a piece of laundry on the ground, you walk right by it, you ignore it. That's a withdrawal from your discipline deposit. You pick it up, you fold it, you put it away. That is a deposit to your discipline bucket. All right, you're walking down the sidewalk on the street, you see a wrapper on the ground, you can either choose to walk by it or you can choose to pick it up and put it in the trash. Withdrawal, deposit. The way your desk looks. You sit down at your desk, you open your laptop, you see a bunch of shit around your desk, it's a complete mess. You could choose to take 5 minutes to reorganize it, deposit, or you could choose to ignore it. I'm too busy, I got to get to work, withdrawal. All right, the dishes in the sink. You walk by the dishes in the sink, too busy, got to focus on work, right? Ignore it, I'll do it later. Made a promise to yourself, never do it later, withdrawal. End up doing it later, deposit. All right, I'm going to bring this into a business context. You forget to follow up with the individual, or you're faced with the opportunity. You've already followed up with 30 people. You got one more person to follow up with. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it later. Withdrawal from your discipline bucket. You choose to follow up with that individual despite all the work you've already put in. That is a deposit to your discipline bucket there. All right. The task you promised your client that you would do. All right, you just got off the phone call with your client. You just got off a Zoom call with your client. You promised that individual you would send them XYZ resource. You promised that individual you would follow up with them later in the week. Are you going to do it or are you not going to do it? Deposit, withdrawal. All right, I got 2 more for you. If you're a sales individual, that means that one of your tasks is that you do pre-call confirmation messages the night before all your calls. You're tired. You had a long ass day. You're like, no worries. I deserve it. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to go to sleep. I'll do it in the morning because I deserve it. I worked really hard today. I got 3 closes today. I absolutely smashed it today. Withdrawal from your discipline bucket. Regardless of your success that day, regardless of all the work you put in, you choose to do your pre-call messages for the day before or for the next day. That's a deposit. The last one, and hopefully this resonates as well, is you have a project. All right. And every time we're faced with a project, our brain goes into 2 different places. Side one of the brain, which says, I think I'll do the project this way because it makes it a little bit easier on me. Or the other side of the brain, I'm going to do the project this way because it's the right way to do it. It's going to take me a little bit longer. It's going to be a little bit harder. It's going to be a little bit more time consuming, but it's the right way to do it. Like I said, your brain splits every single time that you are faced with the decision to make a deposit or withdrawal. You have one side of the brain that says, let's go the easy way out. You have the other side of the brain that says, let's do the right thing. In NLCA, we have a company tenet. It's called Truth First. Part of that tenet means do the right thing. This is what I'm talking about. All right, bringing this full circle here. And like I said before, every single task or no task is mutually exclusive. Every single task is worth the same. You are either making a deposit of 100% value or you're making a withdrawal of 100% value. That is the way that this works. And when I bring it full circle, it will make sense. All right, because the simple task that you are thinking, why do I have to do this, right? Have you ever asked yourself that? Have you ever asked yourself when you're faced with a simple, easy task, like, doing the dishes or taking out the trash or picking up a piece of garbage on the side of the road, and you're like, why do I have to do this? Here's the reason why you have to do this. You do it because it's preparing you for the big opportunity one day. Every single individual is going to be faced with a big opportunity in their life, an opportunity that changes the complete course and direction of their whole entire life. And if you, leading up to that moment, leading up to the moment that life presents you or God presents you or universe presents you or whatever you believe in, because I personally believe that every single individual gets this opportunity in their life. And what they did leading up to that point is going to determine if that opportunity comes to fruition or if that opportunity slips by the wayside. And I believe it's this. I believe this is the magic formula. How many deposits did you put in up until that point versus how many withdrawals did you do up until that point? Because if you spent your life up until that point, just withdrawal after withdrawal after withdrawal, fake promise after fake promise after fake promise, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and you don't do any of it, that opportunity is going to slip you. And who knows, that opportunity could be 1 month from now. That opportunity could be 6 months from now. That opportunity could be a year from now. That opportunity could be 10 years from now. We don't know when that opportunity arrives. But all we can control is what we've done up until that point. Were we making withdrawals or were we making deposits? And that is why you need to treat every single task as not mutually exclusive. They're all worth the same. Because if you don't treat every single task as not worth the same, then you will be the individual that only focuses on what you deem to be the important tasks, and your discipline muscle will not be as great as the other individual that treats every single task, every single opportunity as their opportunity to build that discipline muscle. So when their big opportunity arises, they're there and they crush it and they dominate and they become the next 20, 10, 5, 1%ers of the world. I'm going to take a pause and look at my notes here. The other reason you do it is this. The other reason you do it is from a competitive standpoint, because there's another company out there. There is another staff member up there who is up and coming. So if you own a business, there are other people who are creating the same business as you, who may be further down the road or who may be further behind you. And if you're a staff member, there is going to be another staff member that comes into the business one day who is considered up and coming. And if you aren't careful, and if you slip into complacency, you are going to lose your spot. And you are going to lose your spot because of this concept of what we're talking about, discipline withdrawals versus discipline deposits. Because the person who's up and coming and they're hungry, whether it's a company or an individual, they are going to make deposits every single day. They were going to view every single task as not mutually exclusive, as worth the exact same. And when their opportunity rises, and as you're making withdrawals, they're going to pass you. And when they pass you, you're going to ask yourself, how the hell did this happen? How did that company jump me? How did that individual jump me? How did I get a demotion? How did I get fired? How did I lose my fucking company? You lost it because of your choices. You chose to not make deposits and you chose to make withdrawals. 2 more points. And that's why you need to be very careful with I deserve it language. And I know it's a big popular thing right now. The I deserve it, right? I deserve this, I deserve that. And sure, I agree, you deserve it. But I think there is a very unique distinction in this I deserve it language. I think there's the affirmation portion of it, and I think there's the cop-out portion of it. The affirmation portion of it is, and I used to do this all the time, I deserve to be an eight-figure CEO. I actually never said I deserve. I really don't like the word I deserve. I said I will be. Because I will be implies that you have to fucking work for it, right? I deserve it means that you don't have to work for it. So I'm not a huge believer in the I deserve it language. However, the distinction that I'm talking about here is the, in quotes, I deserve it language. There's multiple different variants of saying it. There's the affirmation form of it, which I'm totally fine with. And if you're using it for affirmation, great, do it. I'm all for it. Got to back it up with action, but I'm all for it. It's the other side that I'm not okay with. And that's the cop-out version of it. That's the version where you are saying to yourself, I deserve it. I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. Because every single time that you're saying that and you're not following up with the task, you are once again making another withdrawal. And it is those individuals that piggyback and do the I deserve it, I deserve it, I deserve it time and time and time again that lose their spot in their company, lose their spot or lose the spot as a staff member in the company, or lose their spot in the industry as a company at large. So here's my overall statement. And I'm going to wrap this up now. If you want to be successful, you must be disciplined. Every opportunity that you have to grow that muscle, grow it. Because one day your opportunity will come. And if you aren't disciplined, it will pass you by. That is all. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.